Hello and welcome to the 21st Annual Stillman Public Speaking Competition for UNO undergraduates. We've got a selection of 10 contestants today, and we're very excited to hear your ideas. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our judging panel. We've got Dr. Deborah Daniel from Film, Theater, and Communication. We have Ms. Carmen Sunda from the, hold on, Carmen. Give me one sec. Louisiana Small Business Development Center for the Greater New Orleans region.
Very good.
And finally, we have Mr. Colin Brooks here, faculty in Management and Marketing in the College of Business. All right, thank you, judges. I'm going to start with contestant 1 today, Jacob Brigel. Jacob, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Great. Jacob will signal a start, and then you have 1 minute left. You'll just see him do this.
I'm looking at you for signals? Okay. Good afternoon. The New Orleans community is a beautiful place to live if your car has a good suspension. No, but seriously, this place has a heartbeat that cannot be ignored. That being said, as many major cities in the world, we deal with horrible corruption, poor public education, ragged-looking properties, and inequality everywhere. I personally can make a difference to some of these things. I can make environmental and aesthetic changes to the home that I live in. I can mentor children in my own community, and I can fight inequality every chance that I have. I live over there by Franklin and Abundance, pretty much across the street from the sewage and water plant. That being said, as you can imagine, my block is a little ugly. The road looks like a minefield in Iraq. There are walls that are broken down with graffiti, and some of the houses are still pretty beat up from the storm. But we're making an effort to change some of these things. My roommate and 3 other people recently purchased the lot behind our house. We've been putting in tons of work building gardens and compost heaps and chicken runs, and right now we're starting to focus on the outside of our property. We want to bring some vibrance and some radiance back into our neighborhood. It's our choice how it looks to us. These neighborhoods belong to us. They represent us. We wake up with them in the morning and we watch the sun sets across them in the evening. It's our choice how the youth of the neighborhood view their block and the pride that it took to make it that way. These children deserve to take pride in things. I've spent less than a year in my current home, but I really feel like I'm beginning to know the neighborhood. I was thinking about what I could do to maybe start mentoring some of these kids in the neighborhood. I have about 3 things that I'm good at in life: playing the bass, speaking Spanish, and cooking. But all 3 of those things could be something that some of these children would be interested in learning. I'm gonna go out there and talk to them and see what's up. Maybe they want to learn something new. I've done things like this before. When I lived in Chicago, my apartment was in a Puerto Rican neighborhood. I'd kick the soccer ball around with the kids after school sometimes. When I realized that some of them had never left the neighborhood, I got permission from their parents and took them out to just different places around the city. My favorite memory is taking 3 of them to go eat Thai food. 2 of them were just not into it at all, but one of them, he ate everything and he had a big smile on his face the whole time. And like opening him up to something new like that, a new culture, was really amazing for me and something that I would really like to repeat here in New Orleans. Understanding of one another's culture is so, so important in this life. Now I know that another way that I can help this community is by fighting inequality at every chance that I have. We live in dark times where injustice lives across all color lines in many places of this world. Now, I don't claim to have any answers to this. It's a really complicated problem. It's wrapped up in our histories. I'm going to leave that to the anthropologists and to the community leaders. What I do know, deep down in my heart, and with a voice that said the Pledge of Allegiance every school day for 10 years, is that liberty and justice are not for all. And after much consideration and anger at all the injustice that I see in this world, I realize that what it is I can do. I can stand up to my own people when they make prejudiced and generalistic comments in my presence. I can ensure that people who I consider friends understand the weight of their words. You've all heard the old, "oh, I'm not racist," but racist remark. Some of these people really do believe that they're not being hurtful by saying these things, but that's where I come in. They need to be made aware that they are being hurtful by saying these things, perpetuating negative stereotypes. It's not going to be easy. These are my friends, my family, my peers at school and work. And most of them, I believe in my heart, are inherently good people, but they need to understand the gravity of their words and the damage that it can do to our community. I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to speak today. I'm absolutely convinced that I can make a big impact into this community by taking an old block and making it look radiant, by mentoring children in my own neighborhood, and by fighting inequality at every chance that I have. We live in a beautiful city with a culture that people come from around the world to indulge in. We need to take care of us as fellow human beings at a grassroots level. We need to look out for each other and work towards higher living standards. Not because we can't get by the way that it is, but because with a little work, we can get closer together and raise each other up. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce you. Hey. Please welcome our next contestant, Julie Green.
Hi there. By now you've heard about the budget cuts to higher education by Governor Jindal. At first it was $3 million, then it was $4 million, and then it was $5 million. At last word it was $150 million, which doesn't seem so bad compared to $500 million, but still UNO needs to brace for budget cuts in a budget that's already slim. Next. The actual budget cuts are still unknown. Even the Commissioner of Higher Education, Joseph Rollo, tells us to prepare for the worst. Next. This is not good news for my community at UNO. Cuts are expected in scholarships, programs, facilities, as well as staff. While we can expect increases in tuition and fees, we should not expect increases in financial aid. Next, please. It's already hard for many of us to afford to go to school, especially when tuition rose last year more than any other state, especially when New Orleans has the highest cost of living in the state, and especially when minimum wage is not a living wage, even for non-students. And now, especially, that food prices are going up due to recent droughts. And food is important. Next, please. Students often go hungry before the semester begins, before they get their financial aid disbursement. They also go hungry at the end of the semester after all the money is spent. Today I'm going to tell you the problem I see, a solution that will help, and how I can implement it. I'll tell you how this solution will improve our community. Next, please. The problem I see is hunger. What I can personally do to improve the quality of life in New Orleans is to create a UNO food bank. This is very doable. It won't cost much. There's a great need. There's already a lot of support. This is something that I've been talking about for the last year because I have been that starving student, as well as some of my friends here at UNO. I'm very qualified for this project. I've already organized student groups such as the UNO Campus Beautification Club, and I served as president of the Honor Society at my last school. Also, at my last school, I helped them establish their food bank. Doing this means a lot to me. It fits in with my personal mission, and I have many folks on whom I can call upon for help. Next slide, please. So here's the plan. I will start by establishing a student club with officers and advisors. Then we'll find a suitable location, such as the library or the UC building or the Human Performance Center. After that, we will need to get furniture and supplies from facilities, possibly UNO Alumni Association, and through donations. After that, we need to once we have all of that, we can set up shop and collect food, either through food drives or donations through Second Harvest. Once we do that, we can advertise, and then we can get the word out using the school's PR and news outlets. Next slide, please. I've already started. I've scouted out places on the campus and noting things that we could use. Everything so far has been extremely encouraging. I've talked to such people as the administration of the library. I plan on officially starting this project in June by securing a place and starting on the preliminary paperwork. In the fall, I'll recruit help, begin the setup, and start the food drive. By Thanksgiving 2015, I'd like to see students receiving food. Next slide. So how will this improve the quality of life in New Orleans? It'll feed the hungry, keep students in school, relieve stress, provide emergency food. It'll invigorate a sense of community and provide leadership opportunities for volunteers. Also, the more graduates that we have, the higher income that they will make, the more job satisfaction they will have, and that will improve the quality of life. Next slide. My name is Julie Green. I am a computer science major, and I have a year to go before my bachelor's degree. I love UNO, and I love the people here. Earlier, I'd mentioned my personal mission. This is something that guides my daily decisions, and that is to make my community safer, healthier, friendlier, and more beautiful. The UNO Food Bank will help us without a doubt. I'm really excited about it, and I hope that you are too. If you're interested in participating, I would love your help. If you have ideas, I would love to hear them. Feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you.
Say your last name one more time for me. Gawali. Gawali. Yeah. Number 4. Please help me welcome our next contestant, Gaurav Gawali.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, New Orleans, also known as the Big Easy, is an amazing city with French and Spanish-influenced culture, delightful food, and so much to do. And we can still make this place a better place to live in. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable jury members, organizers, fellow participants, and everyone present in this hall to witness 21st Annual Stillman Public Speaking Contest. I'm Gaurav Gawali, and the topic for today's contest is what I can personally do to improve the quality of life in New Orleans community. Firstly, I would like to discuss about the quality of life. Quality of life is the general well-being of individuals as well as the society that can be measured in terms of their living styles, in terms of their food, in terms of their health, and so many other factors associated with life. We have a lot of problems in New Orleans that act as a hindrance to the quality of life. And today I'm going to talk about one of those factors that is often neglected but is so important to achieving a perfect quality of life, and that problem is eating habit. Actually, I'm from Nepal. I'm an international student here. Before I came here just about a semester back, I was so excited to come here, and I researched about the food, culture, traditions, and so many things associated with New Orleans. And I found about the delicacies of New Orleans like jambalaya, like seafoods, fishes, and so many other things. And when I came here, I was surprised to see the quantity as well as quality of food the people were eating here. I was so surprised to see that. Whenever I would sit in the lunch table in the cafeteria with my friends, my professors, or hang out with my friends in the restaurants and see people eating, I would mostly see them eating like quite unhealthy foods, like pizza, like fried stuffs, and so on. And I felt like that's not a very healthy diet that we should be consuming every day. And why is this a problem? Is this really a problem? What I believe is this is a problem because our physical as well as mental state is largely determined by the food we take. We eat several times a day, so it's very closely related to the quality of our life. And eating unhealthy foods creates a lot of health problems, including obesity. I do not mean to say that it's not like it's terribly wrong to become overweight or something like that. But what I mean to say is that we can improve the quality of our life by changing our certain habits, and it's better to go that way. And having said that it is a problem, now I'd like to discuss about what I can personally do in order to improve this, in order to improve the quality of life in New Orleans. The first step that I can take or I have already taken is setting up an example. Whenever I sit with my friends for lunch in the cafeteria or somewhere else, I generally try to eat food in a balanced way. I generally try to eat salads. I generally try to avoid fried stuffs and soda, which are extremely unhealthy to health. And I usually get noticed. The friends start asking me about my eating habits and what type of food I eat back home. And whenever I get that opportunity, I never miss that opportunity to explain them and make them realize that they can eat better food and become healthy and include a lot of problems associated with the quality of life. And that's a pretty small step, but it's a lot better than doing nothing at all. The next thing that I can do in order to avoid this problem is I eat at the cafeteria. I can request the people at the cafeteria to include more healthy eating options. If there are more options to choose from, then people will certainly be attracted to eat the healthy options rather than the unhealthy stuffs. So I can request the people in the cafeteria to include more healthy food options so that people will choose from those options. So by taking these steps, even if I am able to make a very small change, then I'll be greatly satisfied because it's really difficult to start a change. Once it is started, it is not very difficult to push it. And I'm not from here, but still I believe that I have a great responsibility towards New Orleans because it's my new home. And if I'm able to contribute even to a small extent, I'll be greatly satisfied because it has given me so much experiences, so much memories that I would like to pay back. So, saying this, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me an opportunity to speak in front of you. And I'm even more determined to contribute to making New Orleans a better place to live in. Thank you.
Tommy, this is the funnel back here that's helping us. Go ahead and open that. Go ahead and open it. There you go. All right. Please welcome our next contestant, Sarah Kennedy. Thank you, Sarah.
Welcome, everybody, and good afternoon. And thank you for taking your time out of your busy lives to come and listen to what I have to say. So I wanted to start off with talking about my life. I'm a native to New Orleans. I was born and raised here, grew up on Toulouse Street in Mid-City. And my life outside of school, I had so many neighborhood friends. We rode bikes all around, went to City Park, fed the ducks, climbed those oak trees that had been there for hundreds of years. And when I wasn't hanging out with my neighborhood friends, I was involved in cheerleading, gymnastics, soccer. I learned how to sew, how to knit. My mother taught me how to cook New Orleans-style foods. But children today, I have an 8-year-old brother, and he spends most of his childhood years on Netflix. And they sit at home, and they're on social media posting how bored they are. And I'm just surprised that they don't go outside, they don't play with each other. I never ride down my street and see people on bikes. It's just not what they do anymore. And they have this desire for a connection, as we all do. We all want to be connected with other people. And so what they do to get this connection, they fall into drugs. They do crimes. Next, please. So this is then, and this is now. And this is what now, when they want these connections, this is what they get. This is our crime rates of New Orleans from 2013 to 2014. Most of these crime rates are from juveniles under the age of 18. Though murder has gone down, as it says up here, 3%, everything else has increased. Next. This is what we're going to leave our future to. Texters in the office. We need to do something to stop this. We need to get the basic fundamentals of relationship, communication, and understanding from our children. And what I do to fix it, I volunteer my time at Gentilly Terrace as a co-cheerleading coach. And I help these girls, and I see how excited they are to just come and hang out with other girls their age and talk to me. And I give them basic lessons about life. And they're communicating, they're creating teamwork. And that's what we need in an office. Or life, even at home. Audubon Zoo is actually a great place to volunteer. When you volunteer there, you get teamwork, you build skills, you do so much. Boys and Girl Scouts also, they help you physically. They create everything that we need and that we want for our children of today's society. Next, please. Once we get these basic fundamentals down, we'll get communication. And communication is everything. It's going to help better the society in New Orleans. And once we help our kids, our future, we will help New Orleans. And we will be proud to call these people New Orleans citizens. Next. I want to thank you all for your time. And I want to just mention how important this topic is to me. And I will do everything I can to talk to a child and let them know, hey, look, you should get out of school and go play soccer or go play basketball. And if New Orleans could create a mandatory extracurricular activities outside of school, we'll be able to do so much. And with that said, I need everybody to help participate because we can't have these children at home watching Netflix all the time. We have to get them up and moving, and that will create a better society. Thank you.
Alvaro, you ready? Judges, we're at number 7, page 7. Please help me welcome our next contestant, Alvaro Nera. Thank you, Alvaro.
Thank you very much. All right. Do I start yet, or? Yes, okay. Hello, my name is Alvaro Neira Gallego Sebastian. You don't have to say that. I know it's kind of hard. I'm here today in order to talk to you about how I think I can make New Orleans better. That was the question that I'm supposed to answer. However, when I first thought about it, the only thing that came to mind was nothing. Not because I don't think that things can be improved. Trust me, on my way here, I hit enough potholes to know that's not the case. I mean, because as a person, just one person, I don't think I can really make a difference in something as big as a city. I like helping everyone I can. I love helping everyone whenever I can, however I can. But as my teacher once put it, for now we have to be selfish. Because you can't really make a change or solve a problem until you're in a good position yourself. So now there's the question, how can I really help change the city? Well, I don't think I need to change the city myself. I think I just need to help the people. Because society lives and dies by its people, the people who make it up. If they can change, if they can evolve, if they can grow to care about one another, think about one another, and try to teach one another how to live a better life, then the city will change with it. I like to talk to people. I like to greet them, even if I think they're strangers. I also like to tell them bless you whenever they cough or sneeze. I know it's probably a faux pas. I do it anyway. Even if I don't know them, because I want them to know that I'm thinking about them, that I care about them, and that I want them to be healthy and happy. I also tell people to take the bus and the streetcar, all forms of public transportation really, because I know that people don't like it. People are afraid of it. In fact, one of my friends who never rode a bus in his 17 years of life went with me on a bus ride and completely changed his mind. And since then, he's ridden a streetcar by himself. I know it's not going to change how we look at public transportation. It's not going to make everyone get on a bus today, but it's a change. It's a difference. I also have listened to a homeless man's problems and speech in a bus ride one time. It was a very tragic story. It was one I will never forget. In the end, he was crying, sobbing. So I gave him a hug and tried to comfort him as much as I could. When I reached my destination, I got off the bus, and another man came up to me and talked to me, asked me if anything had happened, if he could help me in any way. I told him the man's story, and he was surprised. He smiled, he walked away. I don't know if I changed either of their lives, but I like to think that that man was able to get what he had off his chest, and that the stranger was able to learn that if he's ever faced with that same situation, he'll do the same thing as I did, and listen, and be heard. Another time, I met another homeless man, and I decided to give him $5. It was about all the money I had, but something compelled me to do so. And what happened next changed my idea of what I had done. He went straight to Walgreens, bought a Windex bottle and a roll of paper towels, and started offering people to clean their cars. I did not change the economy. I did not create hundreds of new jobs, but for one person, I made a difference. He had something he could do, and I could see by the smile on his face. I've also gotten people interested in the environment just by telling them how they could help. And one of my disciples, you could say, actually now knows so much more than me and tells me when I'm doing something wrong. Just like that, I've also talked to a little girl who told me she liked fish. And I told her everything I know about marine biology, about anglerfish and angelfish and all sorts of things. And now she wants to be a marine biologist at 6 years of age. None of these are huge changes. And I know I'm not going to see the city change because of any of them, probably not in my lifetime. But together over time, as a people who have been lucky enough to impact, grow, to reach others and be in situations themselves, they'll be able to make a change for this city. Regardless of religion or political standing, regardless of race, ethnicity, or nationality, regardless of economics, experience, or time, to be kind to everyone you can, to help out whoever you can, and to listen whenever you can. This is something we can all do. Thank you very much.
Do you need any? They'll tell us in the back here when they're ready. Okay. Please welcome our next contestant. Our judges, are you ready? We're looking at James Phillips. Ready? Please welcome our next contestant, James Phillips.
Thank you so much. Thank everybody for being here. I really do appreciate it. This is for a good cause, especially for myself who has a public speaking fear. But my name is James Phillips, and I'm a registered nurse and also a transplant to this fine city. From the outside looking in, I always viewed New Orleans as three things: Mardi Gras, Hurricane Katrina, and of course the Saints. Who dat? But what I did not see from the outside was the brokenness of our city, this fine community of New Orleans. Which brings me to my main topic for today: how I as an individual can improve this community and the quality of life. To do so, I'm going to present two pieces of paper. Not quite a PowerPoint, so I'm bringing it back. One of this, construction paper. One, resume paper. You look at the two, fundamentally, they're from the same type of substance, trees. The difference being, this construction paper was made for kindergartners to, in my case, make a plane and throw it to in the back of the head of the girl in front of me that I did not like. The resume paper, on the other hand, is built of quality and directly impacts your life. First thing you do is you go into an interview. You hand over that piece of paper that has words printed on it that will determine possibly your future and your future career. So what makes the big difference between the two? The time, the quality, and the pride that goes into making this piece of paper. Because resume paper does impact your life. And in the same way, the pride itself is what makes it more important than the construction paper. That same pride can be put into our community itself. Let me ask y'all this. How many of you have ever driven through the streets of New Orleans? Can I see your right hands? Thank you so much. Everybody, because we're all here right now. Well, a small neighborhood in the New Orleans community decided enough was enough. They've been dealing with this since Katrina, all their broken cars and everything. A small group of individuals said, we're going to pass out signs. Simply said, fix my streets. This spread like wildfire through the community, and 80% of the neighborhood homes had that sign out in their front yard. And because of that one small group of people and that very, very simple sign, opened a direct line of communication between the citizens, the problems that are having and going on, and the mayor of this city. And the mayor himself actually attended some of the community rallies to address this problem, which he was not doing before. My next example, between 2012 and 2013, homelessness amongst women rose 60%. 60%. And no one was doing anything about it. In actuality, these 60% more women were going to the homeless shelters that we had in town, and the fire marshals were kicking them out, saying that it was deemed a fire hazard because they were overcapacitated. One local business that has been in the New Orleans community for over 70 years looked around and said, something has to change. By that next winter, they had started a campaign, fundraised the money, and had a new home for those women, and they were off the street, no longer being abused in many different forms because of that one small business that decided to make a difference. Well, what that business said was, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? So in conclusion, not everyone can buy a home for the homeless. Not everyone can raise millions of dollars to end world hunger. But I, as a member of this New Orleans community that I've grown to love, I can make a difference. I, as an individual, can take responsibility when I see injustices and problems in the city. So I dare you to be that person who takes responsibility for what you see in our community in order to improve the quality in life, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Thank you.
Please welcome our next contestant, Mario Washington.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mario Washington. I'm an urban planning major here at UNO, and I'm a dad with 5 small children. I'm a husband with a wife who needs answers every day, and I'm a student. More importantly, I'm someone who has a passion for youth, has a passion for technology, and has a passion for policy and wants to see some changes. And it's almost like listening to each one of your presentations. I can take all of your presentations and wrap it up and put it right into my presentation, because you touched on a few highlights that I have here that I think that could make New Orleans a better place, make it a better change for the youth. And if you have your hands around the youth, then overall you can reduce a lot of the other issues. Here, I just wanted to highlight just a few things. With this youth urban think tank, that is the mission, that is the drum that I have been beating since almost a year ago. Since last year, I came before you and kind of explained a few things to you as well. And it's just like I ask everyone here, does everyone have a smartphone? Has your life been changed by a policy, by a law, even here with the budget cuts? So my point is, I'm looking at a youth urban think tank to take these young kids off the streets who are at home watching Netflix, who are starving, and take them and put them in a room and allow them the opportunities to, number one, change technology, because they're the ones who are our future. And they're going to make technology work for not just me or you, but for your grandparents. My kids are at home FaceTiming their grandmother who lives in North Louisiana, who is afraid to use a phone. But she will pick that phone up because her grandchildren taught her how to use that technology. That is what a think tank can do for you. And I just gave some examples because this is what's happening. There's different think tanks, Europe, Paris, Seattle, but there's not one here. And I will make sure that I will have a think tank here. Next slide. Here, this is just a few things that, how to make a difference here in New Orleans is today at 12 o'clock, the city has an auction, 3,000 adjudicated properties. With these properties could be a think tank. Why is that important? Because these same blighted properties, there's kids down the street. Those kids have nothing to do. They have no self-esteem. So they get in mischief and they cause problems. And when they cause problems for themselves, it spills out until your street. And now the greater community is unhealthy because crime has come to their doorstep. But if we can take these same children and, yes, take an old building, recreate it, because I had this image recreated, you can make this into a storefront, or you can make that into a think tank. Why? They're co-oping in there. I have another building. This is another blighted place here, where the Mardi Gras Indians on the West Bank in Algiers. Here, you have spaces, so they can co-op here. They can create policy, they can create new technology, They can also help their elders and learn something from their elders at the same time and generate income by tourists and others who come in there. And then when they have ultimate products, they can market that product. They can go to City Hall, because that's part of my think tank plan. Take them to City Hall. How does government work? Who are the policy makers? They will create 2 policies in 1 year. And these children, because every school has children in it, every children in those schools have parents. Next slide. Here are just some highlights of how the program will work. I'm looking to work this program. It's a 2-year interval with a few project managers or mentors. And with that, there's a budget. There also is going to be things that they will produce, marketed to Google's, market them to all the companies that are out there. Urban think tanks are not just something to talk about, they're something to get involved in. And I would love everyone to get involved so we can make a difference in a kid and on your block. Thank you. I'm Mario Washington, and if you have any questions, you can see me later.
Apparently, the computer doesn't want to recognize my other ones. Welcome to, I see you with a Mac.
No, I had a PC.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, sometimes I can stick it, but I don't know what happened. Is this the picture you wanted?
No, but it doesn't sure if the formatting would be right,
Okay,
but it works.
all right. Please help me welcome our last contestant, Marlo Walters. Thank you, Marlo.
Thank you. My name is Marlon Walters. I am a double major in biology and psychology in pre-med here at UNO. I am from here, but I have lived in over 30 states and 10 countries. I've traveled most of my life. That said, I was a homeless youth. I was in the system. I was a foster kid. And I feel like it gives me a unique perspective on the types of problems that we have in our community and the ways that we deal with it or don't deal with it. So the more I ask myself, what can I do? What is a specific problem? What is the best way to approach it? The more I realize that everything that comes to mind ends up being symptoms of a greater issue that's everywhere. But here in our unique, special community that all the cities, all the states I've lived in, all the countries I've been to, nothing is like the sense of community here. Yet, we still have indifference. And that is the disease. That's everywhere. But here, it feels like it shouldn't exist. People, you can't walk down the street without speaking to people here. You can't do that other places. People notice you on your block. Something's wrong, you get sick. Who's playing, excuse me, in the streets? Who's not playing in the streets? Where are the kids? They didn't get off the bus or anything. You notice what happens in your neighborhood. Yet, our youth are getting left behind. They're suffering the consequences of our adult repetition of history and failings and everything we've always noticed but never do anything but talk about. So you have to look at the hope hypothesis. That's probably the simplest way that I can think of as an individual dealing with a chronic issue in any community. And you start your own block, your own person, being aware of where you are, what's going on around you. You take two children. They started this in the 80s, watched them for about 20 years, and documented why do two children from the same background, same situation, same conditions, have two different outcomes, especially when they are at complete disadvantages. Why can one go to one end of the spectrum and succeed, and one completely fail, end up dead in prison on the streets? Hope. It's the only thing, and it's completely intangible, and it's completely priceless, and it takes nothing from anyone, but it gives the world to everybody. It's really simple to just acknowledge the kids going around you, what they're doing, what they aren't doing. It's really simple to acknowledge the homeless in your community. It's really simple to see the kids, tagging on your garage and not doing anything about it or yelling at them. But it's also really simple to say, you know what, if you want to do that, why don't you do a mural? Why don't you do something that I want to look at? I challenge you. They'll find the spray paint. If you, that's not the problem. And then other people will see that. We are a city that, I don't know if we're the clay, we're the canvas, if it's that the city itself is the painter or the sculptor, but somehow all we do in this community is breed creativity. Things just pour out of the city, and they're forever, they're permanent. So challenging our youth to be creative and be smart and intelligent, and then all of a sudden other people start to acknowledge that. It's not hard. It's already gonna be there, but we can shape it and mold it, and be it something like art or music or dancing or picking up trash in the streets or helping clean up an elderly neighbor's yard, making dinner for somebody, anything. Letting kids come to your house and hang out because you don't have kids and you have a big yard. Just knowing what's happening around you is the first step to changing anything. And who knows, maybe one day that kid will be up here trying to tell you what changed their life and not in prison or still on the street. Thank you for your time.
Okay, guys, thank you all for your participation, contestants, and thank you, judges, for your time. This concludes the 21st Annual Stillman Public Speaking Competition. Please take time to help yourself to refreshments, introduce yourself to the judges before you exit, and thank them for their time today as well. After you guys exit, we'll begin deliberations and figure out our contest winners, and usually we'll let you guys know by this afternoon, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.